No vertical video. Not in my video. The main reason that patios are discouraged is because almost all patios are sloped. My patio was actually sloped 5 inches over a 12-foot span. There's no way I could fill that with water and expect it to survive. I chose to level my pool using 1-inch thick pieces of XPS foam. Stick around to see how I did that. But the first thing I had to do was measure my lumpy patio, which I did with a modified water level. I'm going to show you that now. All right, one's going to be yours, one's going to be mine, and we're going to put some 1/4-inch marks here, okay? We're going to use the water level technique to actually measure what the surface of our patio is back there. And I'm using clear tape so that we can see through it easily. Right? Sit next to the marks there. So that's going to be good enough. Now let's number these marks too. So that way all you have to do is write down your numbers. Because you're not so good at writing down 3/8, 3/4. You're like, I don't know. 3. Okay. All right, so this is the water level. We just got a couple of 1x4s. You can use whatever. That doesn't. You just need something that actually holds the marks up at a comfortable level. This is just vinyl tubing I got from the home store. $6. It's like 20 feet of vinyl tubing. You got to fill this with water. So I'm using a little funnel, and I'm going to fill it up until I can see the water level on both of these tubes closer to the top. I'm going to do so. I'm going to fill it up until it comes around. We got the same water level in each tube. See that? Can you get in there? See those tubes? And watch this. Well, you're stepping on the tubing. It's okay. It's a dynamic. It's a little bit dynamic. If you step on it, it's going to make a change. But pretty quickly it equilibrates. So if the one tube goes relative to the other one, the water is going to find its own level, and pretty soon these things they equal themselves out. So one of these sticks is going to serve as the reference. We're going to start at the high level, and as I move around, this thing I'm going to go down, and this level is going to drop. And interestingly, it's going to drop. It only drops half. So these are 1/4-inch marks. So if I go down a 1/2 inch, it's going to drop the reference point is going to drop 1/4 of an inch. And just to demonstrate, let's stack up 1.5 inches. So I'm sitting on top of a piece of wood that's about 1.5 inches thick. So 1.5 inches is 6/4 of an inch. We should expect to see this bubble drop 3 units from 4.5 to 7.5. So let's see if it actually works. Look down there. Watch. I drop down, and right here, look at that. The reference point, 7.5. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Science, baby. Fluid motion. Equilibrium. Balance. Okay? Well, let's go back. Let's go back now. I'm going to go back up to my reference point. And there it is back at about 4.5. All right. Let's go get our measurements. So here we are marking out 12 locations where I plan to not only make the measurements, but that's actually where the poles of the pool are going to go. And here we are. That's the reference point. I know that's the highest spot, so that's marked out at, well, it was 4.5 on the ground there. She's going around, and I'm reading where the measurement of the water level is, and she's writing the number down. And then again, I do the translation, knowing that every 1/4-inch drop that I see on my reference stick actually corresponds to 1/2 inch at the location. That last video was also the first time I saw how filthy that deck was. So I pressure washed everything, and I got rid of that fire pit too. So here's a top-down look at the 12-foot diameter pool, and I've also written down the measurements on top of this in inches. So you can see at the 6 and 7 o'clock positions, it's level, that's the high spot. And then as you go around 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and by the time you get to 12 o'clock, it's almost 5 inches lower. So at that lowest part, I have to stack up 5 pieces of the 1-inch thick foam, which you kind of see here in cross section, kind of a wedge shape. I also put bevels on the corners of these edge pieces to make it gentle on the pool liner. So the principal shape of the pieces of foam was something that looked like this, a trapezoid, about 30 inches in length and a 38 and 5/8 from corner to corner. This was the 1-inch thick pieces of foam. There's the little bevel I put on the edges. Basically, I just stacked a whole pile of these together, as you'll see. Again, here's that bird's eye view, and there's the first layer that gets me up 1 inch. Second layer gets me up 2 inches, and the yellow layer is third layer, gets me up 3, and so on, 4, 5. By the time we get to the blue, that's 5 inches of foam. Let's just show you how I cut the pieces of foam and assemble it. Cutting this foam was fairly easy. Again, this was the principal piece, was a wedge like this, and I kind of just made one really nicely, and then the other ones I stacked them up, and I made those layers nominally 6 inches smaller from edge to edge. Here's me just demonstrating how easy it is to cut this foam with a little razor knife. So very easy, just score it a couple times, snap it, and you know, if you have a table saw, this stuff chamfers real nice. I'm putting a 30-degree bevel, I guess a bevel, putting a 30-degree bevel on the edges using my table saw. If you don't have access to a table saw, you could probably use a hacksaw blade or something. So here's how the pieces stack up. This is basically one sector of the wedges, 5 inches high, and I glued the pieces to one another with 3M77 spray adhesive. Just laid it on top, a little bit of pressure, voila. And there it is. There's an overhead view from the deck looking down at the patio. I've added a little bit of sand to smooth out the ridges between the pavers, but that's it. It's down at the bottom, at the top of the image, I should say, rather. That's 5 inches of stacked up foam. And I'm publishing this video 4 or 5 weeks after initially installing it. It worked like a dream. It's held up just fine, leveled the pool out just fine. There's a look of one of the legs sitting there. It's gone through a couple rainstorms and a couple of heat waves, hasn't moved at all. It's perfect. I mean, this thing is, you couldn't get much more level than this. So I recommend this technique. Here I am doing a little GoPro from inside, and there's this, just show the bevels and the gentle slope from inside the pool. The liner seems to be holding up just fine. I'm happy with it. Kids are too. Thanks for watching.